Hi friends, Miss Kristi here, and I'm so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make Crescent Dogs. This small meal uses just 3 ingredients. They'll cook in our oven for 12 minutes and we will make 4 Crescent Dogs. We're gonna have fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here.
All is calm and all is bright tonight.
Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you'll need are 4 Crescent Rolls, 2 hot dogs, and 1 slice of cheese. The supplies you'll need are a cutting board, baking sheet, butter knife, oven mitts for safety, and parchment paper, which is optional. Okay, great. Your hands are clean and my hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our Crescent Dogs. This is just a great, quick, simple meal that you can put together and pop in the oven, and then you have this warm and tasty meal that we can make for ourselves. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if you are using parchment paper, I'm just going to take the sheet of parchment paper and set it right on my cutting board. We have to cut some hot dogs in half and slice up some cheese, so it just protects my cutting board, and then I'm going to put everything right on here anyways. So if you're choosing to use parchment paper, go ahead and set that right in front of you, and then you're going to want to grab your butter knife and your 2 hot dogs. Now, if you want to use a sharper knife, by all means, and you feel comfortable, you can use that, but I'm just gonna use a butter knife today because it's safer and it'll cut through my hot dogs. So I've got my butter knife and I have my hot dogs, but I also need to preheat my oven because we are gonna cook this at 375 degrees. So now that I've got my very first step set up, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 375. That way while we are assembling our Crescent Dogs, our oven can preheat. So set your oven to 375. Okay, great. Now that our oven is preheating, we are gonna take our butter knife and we're just gonna cut the 2 hot dogs in half because we are going to make 4 Crescent Rolls. So from 2 hot dogs, we're gonna make 4. So I'm just gonna take my hot dog and cut it right down the middle and then set it to the side because we're gonna assemble everything in just a minute. And my second hot dog, our hands are clean since we washed them, so you feel free to touch it with your fingers. And again, I'm just finding the middle and I'm cutting that right in half. And then we are going to set those to the side. I'm going to use that in just a minute. Same thing with our slice of cheese. So go ahead and grab your 1 slice of cheese. Still going to use the same butter knife, and I just need to take this 1 slice and turn it into 4 that we will put inside of our crescent roll. So I'm just going to make 4 slices. It doesn't have to be perfectly even, just as long as we get 4. So don't worry about it being perfect in size. Basically, I'll find the half and then I'll cut that in half again. And then 1 more time. So now I had 1 slice of cheese, and yours might be a square, mine just happens to be a rectangle, but I've turned it into 4 slices. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we need to grab our crescent rolls. So we only need 4 crescent rolls for this recipe. So usually a can of crescent rolls will give you 8 crescent rolls altogether. I'm only using half of that, so you can see that it's just half of the roll. If you wanted to make more of these, you could. If not, I just wrap mine up really tightly in the can again, and then I can save it till the next day and use it again. It won't stay very good. It won't stay long very good inside that canister. So if you use half of it, go ahead and use the other half the next day. But for today, we only need 4 crescent rolls. So I'm going to unroll these, and you'll see that they are in triangle shapes. When you unroll them, that's what makes it the crescent shape when you roll them up. So I'm going to take each triangle that I unroll and just gonna put it right in front of me. I want the bigger side to be towards me and the pointy side to be facing away because I wanna roll these up in just a minute. So I'm just unrolling my 4 crescent rolls, putting them right on my parchment paper in front of me. Move this one over a little bit. And again, the wider side is towards me and the pointy side of our little triangle here is pointing away. It's not a huge it doesn't make a huge difference if we have them backwards, but it makes it easier to roll up when this side is facing you. And now all we have to do is assemble them. So take one slice of cheese and put it right on the bigger part of your triangle dough. And we're gonna do that for all 4 slices. Okay. So now each of our Crescent Dogs has some cheese in there, and then we're just gonna grab our hot dog and set it right on top of the cheese. And that's why cutting our hot dog in half works perfectly for this recipe. It's a great size. And then we end up with 4 Crescent Dogs. All right, now that these are all assembled, we just need to roll them up. So you can set your butter knife to the side. We're done with that. And all I'm gonna do is take this big end and just slowly roll it up. I do want it to be a little bit tight so that the hot dog doesn't fall out. And then I'm just gonna put this right in the middle because I'm gonna end up baking right on this parchment paper. Makes cleanup a little bit easier. So same thing with this one. Just going to roll it up. And if your hot dog rolls away, just like mine did, pop it back on. Cooking does not have to be perfect, but it can be fun. And I think rolling these up is fun. So here we go. I've got 3 done. I'm just pressing down the ends so they stay sealed. And the last one, same thing. I'm gonna move it over a little bit. Just slowly, I'm kind of holding my hot dog in place and rolling it. And then the end, I'm just pressing down a little bit. Now, the cheese will likely come out a little bit when we cook them in the oven, but that's okay. That's why I also am using the parchment paper. It makes cleanup a little bit easier. So from here, all I'm gonna do is grab my baking sheet. So whatever baking sheet you're using, it doesn't have to be large. We only have 4 Crescent Dogs, so if you have a smaller baking sheet, go for it, use that. All I'm going to do is slide it on here. I'm gonna space these out a little bit. We wanna give them room to puff up because they will puff up in our oven and get soft and fluffy. But from here, all we need to do now, once our oven is preheated, is to cook them for 12 minutes. So I'm going to grab my timer and I've set it for 12 minutes. I'm going to carefully pop these in the oven. It's going to be warm, so I'm not gonna touch anything. I don't need my oven mitts just yet because all I'm gonna do is slide this in the oven. So put it in your oven, set your 12-minute timer, and then when it goes off, we will talk about getting them out safely. So here we go. In they go. All right, friends, this is exciting. Our 12-minute timer just went off, so now we need to get them out of the oven so that they can cool. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, turn off my oven and put my oven mitts on for safety. Everything inside there is going to be very, very hot, so we need to have oven mitts on to protect our hands. So turn off your oven. We're gonna take these out, put them on a protected surface, like I can put mine on my cutting board. You maybe have a pot holder. Set them down and let them cool for 3 minutes, and then we'll talk about trying them. Okay, friends, so we have just let these cool for at least 3 minutes. I would say that would be the minimum. If you want to let them cool a little bit more, totally your call. I'm just allowing the pan to cool down so when I touch it, it doesn't burn me. I'm letting our Crescent Dogs cool down a little bit so when you take a bite, it doesn't burn your mouth. But these have cooled for at least 3 minutes, and now all I'm gonna do is take a plate and pop them on. But you can see with the parchment paper, they lift right off. They don't stick. And they're warm and they're fluffy and the cheese is all melted and our hot dog got a little crisp because it was exposed to the oven. Now if your cheese came out a little bit when you were making it, no worries. That's just part of what happens because the ends aren't closed. So if that happens, it's happened to me as well. But here we have it. This is our Crescent Dogs. We used just those 3 ingredients, popped them in the oven for 12 minutes, and now we have this great small meal that we've learned to make for ourselves. So I do hope you try and make them or try and make them again. And when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I love getting to hear from you. You can even send me a picture of how your Crescent Dogs turned out. I would love to get to see your creation, and maybe we could share it next week. Speaking of next week, on next week's episode, which is episode 60, we are learning how to make vanilla graham sandwiches. This small treat uses just 4 ingredients and it's no bake. We just pop them in our freezer for 30 minutes to harden up and we will make 2 vanilla graham sandwiches. In order to cook along and make our vanilla graham sandwiches, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen for next week. 2 graham crackers, half a cup of Cool Whip, 2 tablespoons of vanilla instant pudding mix, and 1 tablespoon of sprinkles. Well, friends, our time together today is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed learning how to make our Crescent Dogs. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together again next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode. It'll be out on Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye, friends. It's time to eat.